Hey y'all, it's Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. Picture this. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app when you spot it. A brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's room of choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
You're listening to Mission Log the Orville, an episode-by-episode discussion of the adventures of the crew of the USS Orville. Welcome to another episode of Mission Log the Orville, the show where we use our influence to influence public opinion and decide what the truth is about the messages, morals, and meanings of each episode of the Orville. This time, we're influencing majority rule. I'm Mike Richards.
And I'm Jessica Lynn Verdi. Mission Log the Orville is a conversation that depends on your participation. You can share your thoughts, ideas, and tell us what we missed at ML_the Orville on Twitter, Mission Log Pod on Facebook, or you can email us at missionlog-theorville@roddenberry.com. Hit like and subscribe. Don't downvote us on the Roddenberry YouTube channel. And remember, we might use your comments on an upcoming episode. And now, here's Mike with his apology tour.
Thanks, Jessica. Prologue. A young woman awakens and turns the morning news. Meet Lewis and Tom. They're apologizing for something. Maybe a political scandal? Maybe infidelity? Anyway, they look kind of shady, so they get a downvote from Lacella. Wait, what? Lewis and Tom have been convicted of something? With a death sentence? Maybe. I don't know. Tom makes a run for it and is shot dead. Lewis is strapped to a chair with a device placed on his head as the final vote reaches 10 million downvotes. Lewis screams in agony. Act 1. Sargas 4 is a planet which is in early 21st century state of development. 2 Union anthropologists were sent there to observe and blend in, but they went missing. The Orville is there to find them. Kelly, Claire, Alara, and John are getting ready to cosplay as Sargons. You know the look. The unemployed backup dancer look. And since they're unemployed, they'll need money. The mission is to go in, locate the anthropologists, leave a minimum footprint, and get out. Oh, and do something about Alara's nose while they're at it. With the cloak engaged, the crew is headed down to the surface. Act 2. We get a glimpse of life on Sargas 4. Looks like the population polices one another by giving each other upvotes and downvotes on badges worn on their chests. It's so similar to Earth that there may even be another Bustin' Jeeber hanging out somewhere. The crew is confronted right away for not having their badges. 40 lots later, they have 4 badges preloaded with 200,000 upvotes each. Making small talk, Alara confides that her newest ex-boyfriend was a little too grindy when he danced. Wanting to know how grindy is too grindy, John demos different levels of grindiness on the statue of beloved frontier hero Mela Griffindon. They head into a local coffee shop to get info when the master feed is showing John dry humping the statue as his badge starts to rack up downvotes by the hundreds of thousands. As Kelly orders the crew back to the shuttle, they're intercepted by the local police and John is arrested. Act 3. A quick appeal from Ed to Admiral Tucker to extract John falls on deaf ears. Looks like they'll have to work within the local justice system. Good news, though. John has a lawyer. Wait, that's no lawyer. That's a publicity officer. He's there to guide John through his apology tour. His 1 million downvotes is a crime against the state. This requires him to apologize publicly. If his downvotes stay below 10 million, he's free to go. More than 10 million, and corrective therapy is required. Think of it as a brain fry that gets rid of all the bad stuff. A brain fry that Claire isn't sure she can reverse. They'll need to find Lewis to find out. Act 4. Be yourself, but humble. Pander, but not too much. An AM talk show doesn't go well. The host gives a downvote even before hearing John's side of the story. This is an absolute democracy. Nothing seems to help. His donation to Mela Griffindon's charity for jacked up kids didn't help. Knowing that Mela Griffindon may have saved the whale forests didn't help. At the end of the day, John's tally is over 4 million downvotes, but it's okay. He has more shows to do. Back at the coffee shop to see Lucella, Alara gets called out on her Kelvic headwear. Apparently, wearing it is literally pissing on the man's Kelvic culture. Literally.
Literally.
As Claire tries to fashion new headgear for Alara, Lucella walks into the restroom to see Alara in all her Zalayan fabulousness, forehead and all. Although she is panicking, an offer of a drink calms her down enough to fill them in on what happened to Lewis and Tom. You see, there was a pregnant woman standing behind them on a bus, and the two researchers were so caught up in their work that they didn't notice her and didn't offer her a seat. Following Lewis's correction, a visit to his bachelor pad finds him happier, more peaceful, better. Claire says we need to get him to the Orville fast. Upon examination, she's sure that she cannot reverse the damage. Ed thinks they need an inside advantage. They need to bring Lucella aboard the Orville. Looks like the apology tour is making the late-night rounds. With little Arsenio Hall-style swagger, John is greeted by enthusiastic boos and a new total of over 9 million downvotes. Now it's back to the detention facility to wait for the final vote. But nobody ever has come back from 9 million downvotes. Act 5. Lucella is so overwhelmed by the sight of the Orville through the shuttle window, think Kirk in Star Trek The Motion Picture, that Alara is able to take her mobile device without much of a fight. In the conference room, Ed asks about the justice system. You see, everybody deserves a voice. Opinion is knowledge. The majority lets you know what the truth is. Ed asks what can be done to influence the mass opinions. Everyone reads the master feed, but how can you get millions of people to change their minds? Isaac has a suggestion. Act 6. Back in the detention center, it's time for the final vote. What would influence the vote? Well, what if John supports his 90-year-old grandmother? Lucella asks, how can you do this? How can you influence the master feed from the ship? Gordon's answer, babe, spaceship. Well, what if he was an overweight kid? Would that get him some sympathy? Sure. What if he was in the military and had a dog named Chuckles? Time for a deep fake video with John Lamar returning from the war, talking about tugging at the heartstrings. Tick, 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 tick. The downvotes stop at 9,999,996. Lieutenant Lamar, spaceman, is free to go. Ed thanks Lucella, and Lucella thanks Ed. She just wishes she could tell someone. Claire suggests maybe all she needs to tell is someone on their world that they can do better. As the Orville lays in a course for their next assignment, Lucella wakes in the same way she does every day, walks to the TV, but instead of casting a downvote, she turns the TV off. The end.
Hey, I give you one upvote.
I got an upvote for that?
You got an upvote for that.
All right, I will give you one upvote back.
Boop. This utopia frightens me, especially because I use the internet so much in real life. So
same here. I just saw that you were where were you? You were at Comic-Con this weekend. I saw that on social media.
I sure was at Comic-Con. I had the pleasure of being on my friend Scott Rubin's panel, which was What's in a Name? Naming your kids and other things the geek way. So me and a few friends and a person who I hadn't met named Jeremy Adams, I think that's right, got to talk about the different ways our art has given us opportunities to name things and our own namesakes. Because he has a book called Naming Your Little Geek. So he did a bunch of research. So basically, like every Star Trek name's in this book for the most part, except for Lower Decks, because I think he did the book before Lower Decks. But so like he just did all the research on cool geeky names, and we got to talk about that for an hour at Comic-Con.
That is really cool. I wish I had known that, had that book before I had my kids. They're a little too old now.
Yes, but that's the thing. You could still have it now because you can name your Wi-Fi. You could use it for your D&D games, which I do. Like I'll flip through and go, oh, what name do I want to pull out from there? So it's not beholden to children. That's
and maybe grandkids down the road. Who knows?
They will not let you have a say on that.
What I did find out was that girls do very well when they have unique names. When boys have unique names, in other words, names that other boys can rip on, instances of mental health disorders go up astronomically.
No way.
So we went very straight down the middle of the envelope with the boy's name, and decided to go that route. We'll see how it works out.
That's fascinating. I mean, and I shared the fact that my name was so popular that there were several Jessicas in every class I was in, and then that was like a source of torment as well. But you also got to drink your sorrows.
I did. I went to Starbase Indy, which is a con here in Indianapolis. It was the first time they've had it since 2019 because of the year we won't mention, and it was fascinating. The people there were so nice. It was just sort of a mini STLV. It was very inclusive. It was very diverse. The people were super nice. I got invited to by the Vice Admiral, who we know from the Patrons Discord on Mission Log. So if those of you have not joined our Mission Log Patrons Discord, please do. And I was invited there as an honored guest, which I was told to just take it when you can get it. And I said, okay.
Yes.
And super nice people. It was a Barfleet party. There's Barfleet in 6 different cities. They each have a ship. They each have a captain and an XO. The ship in Indianapolis is called the Indecent. INDY.
No.
Indecent. Yes. And
the Indecent.
They had fantastic rules. They blacked out the windows. They said only the photographers are allowed to take pictures. What happens at the party stays in the party, and it was a great group of people. I had a blast. So if you are in a city, or if you want to look into starting a Barfleet,
or inviting us to your panels, or inviting us to your bars,
absolutely, or inviting us to your next party, we would love to go. And that was so much fun.
Fee. A nominal fee, not a small fee. Nominal fee.
Just more of a what do you call it? A symbolic fee.
So interestingly enough, that we saw this on our social media, that's basically what this episode of the Orville is an allegory for, wouldn't you say?
Definitely social media, definitely court of public opinion, definitely opinions being equal to facts are all things that I think we'll get into. But what I really want to know, Jessica, is, sort of how grindy is too grindy?
There is definitely a meter by which we can judge somebody, but there's also variables every time. So if you're not attracted,
it's a sliding scale.
It's a sliding scale. Like if I just met you and you're grinding at me at the club, then that's too grindy. I don't know you.
Any amount of grindy is too grindy at that point.
Yeah, at that point, exactly. And that's the variable. So I think John was definitely too grindy because he didn't know Mela Griffindon.
Right. Apparently any amount of grindy is too grindy on Mela Griffindon. He did describe at one point that he had hit the Goldilocks grindiness, which I thought was right. kind of a funny reference.
But it is actually very funny. I think there is, but again, that I don't know. It's this is borderline. We shouldn't be talking about it, but essentially, it's level of comfort versus sexual attraction versus attractiveness. You know what I mean? Like how. Well, I let this person grind on me because I'm attracted to them and like them. Yes. It's consent and all those things.
And the venue as well, I'm sure, too.
Too grindy. I think she was art.
Yeah.
So Lara basically has broken up with another person on the ship because she's too strong yet again for him, but also cites that he's too grindy. And I think she just didn't like him already.
Yeah, I think his if I could draw a scale for our viewers, the attractiveness and the grindiness probably have a direct correlation to
correct.
At a certain, the more you like somebody, the more you know somebody. But she's kind of becoming the almost like the Elaine of the Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld.
What's interesting is I almost thought they could have worked in a little bit of attraction between her and Jamar. I always want to call him Jamar because his name is
John
Jay.
Lamar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to call him Jamar every time. They could have worked in. There was like a hint at maybe they might work together well. Even though that, I can't speak to that happening further down the road.
So the honestly, trivia. We don't do a lot of trivia on Mission Log of the Orville. But what is interesting is that grinding on a statue was part of Jay's audition for the role of John Lamar. Yes.
And I would have thought he would have done a better job.
Well, maybe he was supposed to be awkward. I don't know what 25th century grinding looks like.
It was weird to introduce it to. How was it part of his audition? Did they know this episode was coming? And
this episode was written. I think they had several written. I mean, we're only episode 7, so I think they were probprobly had that many.
Which brings up a point. Which brings up another point that we still have not gotten enough of Claire yet. We're kind of going down the pipe of getting to know each main crew member one by one with important episodes. We did Command, we did Bortus, we got a little bit of Kelly and Ed, and it's time for Claire. Even though we had Claire in this episode, it made me realize, oh my God, especially because for future episodes, she does so much great storytelling. It really makes me miss her in these beginning few episodes.
Yeah, I think it's really gonna take a turn in the next few episodes.
It's not a negative. It's interesting how they're introducing us one by one so that we can have stakes in their stories moving forward.
Are you listening, Star Trek Discovery? Can we get to know some of the bridge crew, please? Can we get to know anybody? That's my biggest complaint with that show.
That's interesting. So I'm going to say I am personally offended that he decided to make the antagonist up front named Jessica for taking the lead girl's shirt. It's very I now know how Seth MacFarlane feels about Jessica. It's very upsetting to me.
Okay, we will keep an eye on that and see if it's a repeating theme.
How sometimes I met one of the guys on the panel yesterday was talking about how every time he was bullied, he was bullied by 3 different Corys. So every time he writes a comic and he's looking for a bully name, he pulls out Corey. I think this is I'm like Seth's Corey.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Okay, fine. Do you hate Jessica's too?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
I mean, you're the only one I know, but I certainly you have made a wonderful impression. Did I say the only one I like or the only one I know?
No, you stopped yourself.
Okay, I meant to. Yeah, you're the only one I know. So it did seem a little out of character, but apparently they had this planned the whole time because it was part of his audition. That's why I brought it up.
Oh, I see. It did seem weird. So yeah, so they obviously had it written. He must have grinded it really well. Because that's a hard thing to ask someone to audition. I wonder if they had a fake statue or something, or they had him grind a chair.
It was a statue.
In the audition? In
the audition, that's what I read.
It was an actual physical statue?
Yes.
Okay.
So I will... listeners, feel free to research that and correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it sounds great. I would love to be a fly on the wall.
I've been wrong on a few things that you've called me on, and we'll bring those up. Turns out other people invented beer before the monks. BC from our patrons Discord also called me out on that. So good for him. He said thousands of years earlier, so that was great. So with that. Sounds like there's not really a prime directive. Ed talked to Admiral Tucker and said, hey, requesting a extraction to go down there and get him out. And he said, no, it's our job to leave a minimum footprint and to, not interfere. But it didn't seem like it was strictly 100% prohibited by the rules, just maybe sort of a case-by-case thing. Even John was like, hey, just send an armed party down here and blast me out of here.
Because otherwise, they would have all known that they couldn't have if there was a prime directive.
Right.
God, he's so right though. They should have just. It is obviously we won't have this episode if we just Deus Ex Machina it and fix it.
Yeah.
But it is weird that it is distinctly different from a Star Trek show where they even send I don't know that there's a precedent for this in a Star Trek episode where they send people just to observe the culture. like that?
There was one with Frakes where he was he went undercover, got a little bit surgically altered. It was
that's
it was a
right.
Riker episode, and
But he didn't live there for a month, did he?
I think he was there for months.
Oh wow!
And Lilith from Cheers fell in love with him, and he.
Oh, maybe I don't remember that episode.
There was a little prid quo quo required to get him out of custody.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Quid pro quo.
That's definitely a
Frakes move. That's definitely a Riker move.
Definitely
the Riker maneuver.
Move. Yep. Yes. Yes, indeedy. So I think you're right. I definitely sometimes with these similarities, I feel like they're aching to not say Prime Directive. You know what I mean? Even though they handle it well, and
they did handle it well.
Yeah.
And I liked that there was a conversation had of can we do this, and the Admiral saying, you got yourself into it, John got himself into it, you're gonna have to get himself out of it, and we need to do it without throwing this entire culture into disarray. So I think it was a worthwhile conversation.
I don't like our admirals all that much. I'm just gonna say it. They have several times been like, oh, too bad, Ed and Kelly are dead. Oh, bye, Jamar, I need to stop.
You did. John Lamar. It's not like it's almost like you're shipping him with himself.
Jamar is really funny to me. Jamar. Okay, yeah, I am shipping him with himself. That's it. He is a player on the ship, and we'll learn that a little bit more in the future. I think they just suck. They just they don't care about their people.
Well, this was the same guy. This was the same Admiral Tucker, played by Ron Canada, who prohibited Alara from rescuing Ed and Kelly.
Right. So yeah, that's right.
So very much in his character. So just like you have to shop for maybe a priest if you want to get the reading that you want on certain rules of the church, or shop for a different salesman if you want to get the best deal on a car. Maybe you ought to know which admiral to call when you're asking to rescue one of your folks.
Wow.
And I would put Admiral Tucker way down on that list.
Yeah. Geez, that's such. I was literally. I know. So Thanksgiving just happened a couple days ago, and a lot of people love talking about getting into political and religious discussions with family members. And literally, the similar conversation happened about. Someone said to me, well, if everyone just understood the Bible how I understood it, then the world would be peaceful. I'm like, yeah. And then, at that moment you walk away. You go,
yeah. We gave up on family Thanksgivings a few years ago. We normally rent a condo down in the Panhandle and enjoy the beach.
That's really smart, actually. I'm making it sound more egregious than it was, but that's pretty verbatim what that person said. Anyway, you're right. If you want, it's like me when I'm dating somebody. I go ask all my friends for the advice that I'm looking for and take it once, and then disregard everything else until I get the advice I want.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I do. I know exactly what you mean. Nice that John still thinks of himself as somebody who likes soda. He brought that when he goes, I'm John. I like soda. I don't normally do this. You should like me.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because that is still it's not his personality trait, but he is a laid back guy.
Yes.
And it is bad that he thought he could just grind a statue. That was actually really dumb.
Just seemed out of character. I mean, I think I'll probably go somewhere that you went with me last week. I think there was an issue that I had a question about, and you were like, it's just kind of comic relief. He had to do something to start to get the downvotes.
Right.
I am really looking forward to being done with this episode because I think I've said grindy and grindiness more than I ever have in my life to this point. So
you just replace it with the word cringe, cringy
and cringiness. Once we get past that, I'll be a happy guy. But I think
Understood.
It was definitely just a thing that he did that got him a bunch of downvotes. And just kind of think of it that way.
Totally. It's still annoying, and it does go to show how fickle this particular planet is, and that's really what the story is. You're totally right that it's just a writing mechanic, but it's so out of character for anybody in the Union to do that. It's just so weird. Anyway, the thing I really, even though I don't care, but I really want to know, are all Kelvic people male? Is that how they knew that Alara wasn't Kelvic?
I don't know. I don't know anything about the Kelvicks. I know John was asked if he was Kelvic because his
name,
but his publicity officer.
Yeah, the publicity guy. Yeah, publicity officer asked him if that John's a weird name.
Yeah, if he was Kelvic, and then so there was that, and then there was the gentleman in the coffee shop who said Alara was literally urinating on his culture. I don't think that word means what he thinks it means.
Or maybe it does, and we don't know a lot about Kelvic culture.
Or how Kelvics urinate.
Correct. Is that why they wear hats?
Possibly.
But I really want to know how he knew off the bat she wasn't Kelvic. It's weird, right? It's just a little weird.
It is weird because it can't be a black-white thing. Right? Because John was asked if he was Kelvic.
Yes.
So is it a male-female thing?
His officer, his corrections officer, is really dumb. He's not doing anybody any favors.
So speaking of Alara's cosplay as a pseudo-human, as she was leaving, as the crew was getting ready to go on the away mission, landing party, Ed said, "And do something about that nose." Did that seem a little, I don't know, insensitive, out of place, funny?
If it was Star Trek, Picard, if it was, probably wouldn't have even been Picard. It would have been Riker, who would have just said, and Lara, and pointed to his nose.
Yeah.
Pointed to her nose. They wouldn't have said much. I will say it struck me also as a weird sentence.
It was, and I don't see Picard doing it, and I do see Riker handling it just that much. I think it may have been a direct throwback to an original series, either episode or movie. And I'm thinking of Star Trek 4, but it might have been one of those many other ones where Spock donned a stocking cap or something else to hide his ears. And I think Kirk at one point, or maybe it was McCoy, said, "Do something about what are you going to do about those ears?" or "Do something about those ears." So I think it was kind of an Easter egg for that. It just seemed very, I don't know, just seemed kind of aggressive.
You're totally right, because there's already social connotation with people getting nose jobs. If it wasn't already women are striving to be this perfect physical specimen, then it wouldn't probably have, if it was said to a male, it would have had less impact probably.
Yeah.
And we're not saying Halcyon Sage is needing to be perfected. And it really did look like all they should have just said was that she had a nose job as opposed to cocaine or deviated septum. The joke was there. But you're totally right. The impact was felt because our society's connotation with plastic surgery and being perfect and things like that. I think it just felt different. It didn't feel as jibey, or it didn't feel as funny as it probably could have been.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. It just felt a little bit, just a little bit cringy to me.
And their outfits were cringy too. They weren't grindy. They were cringy.
But how far off were they? I mean, 2017 episode, fashion has evolved a little bit since then, but not much. There's still holy jeans. There's still, yeah.
I think the jean on jean was 2015, but I think you're right. I think they went. It felt a little early 2000s to me, just a little bit. That's why I even said you look like an out of work boy band, but or backup dancers, but. I think Claire looked nice, and Lamar looked normal.
She did look nice. Now this was also very funny. And there's a scene in the restroom when Claire was trying to fashion new headgear for Alara, and I actually froze the scene because the way Penny Johnson-Gerald's hair was laying at that time, Dr. Finn, it was bangs down to her eyebrows, and it was hair that covered her ear. And then kind of went back from there. That wig would have perfectly concealed Alara's forehead ridges and ears. And I just thought it was kind of funny that they showed them side by side at that point as they were trying to make her a headband. It's just make her a Dr. Finn wig.
I don't know. Listen, I don't think if anyone has a good wig, they're not giving it up. They're not
Yeah.
letting other people wearing it. So I don't think it's as simple as all that.
Well, I didn't say
but-
give her Dr. Finn's wig. I said
No,
just
I
make her a Dr.
understand.
Finn wig.
How Dr. Finn probably has someone style it for her.
Yeah.
It's probably real hair,
Right.
Or you know what I mean. So I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but that's some artistic stuff.
Yeah.
She's got to have good hair. She got that good hair.
She does. She looks good. She looks great playing the part. She really does. And
Yeah.
you mentioned before that we're not getting enough of her, and I agree. And I'm glad we'll get more. But what we've gotten so far has been brilliant.
Totally.
From drawing the line in the sand. Well, I will not do a sex change on a baby. There's nothing wrong with that baby.
Yes.
To this, where she kind of gave that last bit of advice, which we'll get to in a little bit, on the. You can just go back there and tell people they can do better.
Oh,
Great
I
line.
can't wait to tell you my opinion on that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, are we ready to move on?
I'm ready to upvote this.
All right. Well, I will give you an upvote as well, and we will move on to the next segment of the show. So we've come to the part of the show where we explore the big ideas in the episode Majority Rules before discussing the messages, morals, and meanings, and see if they align with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy.
I'm going to give you my short answer. My opinion is yes. So that's
Yes.
a fact. It's a fact now.
Yes to all. It is a fact. Now we have to, and facts are facts. And
Yeah.
the fact is that 50% of us think this episode holds up. And the other 50% thinks it holds up as well.
Oh, wait. So then, is this a 100% episode?
I think this was a great episode. I really do, and I think it was very timely, and I think it holds up no matter which era of populist government and politicians you're dealing with at the time. And there have been populists around for ever since there's been politicians, right? Tell people what they want to hear. Tell people what they want to hear. They vote for you.
That's what a populist means?
Yeah, it means they go after just
the popular vote.
the popular opinions, whether they're based in fact, whether they're attainable, whether you can, build everybody new schools and cut their taxes at the same time. You just tell people what they want to hear and they vote for you. It's just trying to drum up popular opinion. In fact, with this, there was a little bit. It was in the background. It was on the news, and one of the news guys said there's great concern over the pollution in some reservoir, and the counterpoint was, but you can't deny facts. And the fact is that 74% of the people think that's false. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. 74% of the people think that's false. Doesn't make it true. Doesn't make it right.
It is, it's like painful to hear that, right?
Yes.
Like, because we are experiencing that currently in our society where, and I'll go back to the conversation I had on Thanksgiving. I don't know what I'm debating with people because I don't know where they're getting their information. And I don't know when they're saying, well, this is this and this is this. No, I can't combat that with my facts because I don't know what they're reading that makes them believe what they believe as well.
Right.
It's very dangerous that, we're definitely seeing an age-old issue, whether it's with social media or TV or news or what have you, is how to sway popular opinion, how we make up our minds about people and about what as well. And 9 times out of 10, we read a headline and we've come to an opinion about what we think that headline is. There was Twitter started doing a thing, and if you retweeted an article, it asks you to read it first. That is insane.
Yeah. That is, if you're going to share that as your endorsement, if you look at, retweeting something as an endorsement of that subject matter, you probably ought to have read it first.
But social media shouldn't be doing that, right? Like that's not their responsibility, even though in a weird way it is, right? So like it's the same argument. How much responsibility, it's not the same argument, but how much responsibility does Facebook have for allowing false politics ads to be run? They have responsibility, but do they? They're a private company. They do, they should, and they screwed up and I think they're finding ways to be even more nefarious and surreptitious about it. But
It's true.
It's
and
a
and you
huge
look at
problem for us.
sort of what maybe initially was the mission of Facebook, which I think was just, let's take the money out of it and the endorsements and the selling of data and the commercials and that stuff out of it. Just sort of a platform for people to connect over distances,
Sure.
over, networks of people of like-minded things. And a couple of bad things start to happen. One you mentioned already was the belief that if you see something in print with a picture and some letters at the bottom and it kind of looks like a news story, that people are going to believe it, whether it's corroborated or not. And that was addressed in this episode when they showed a picture of John as an overweight kid and as a soldier coming home to his dog Chuckles and taking care of his 90-year-old grandmother. And I believe it was also the great Dr. Claire Finn that said, what if somebody tries to corroborate this information? And the look was kind of like, nobody's going to do that.
Of the girl, whatever her name is, that they brought on board. Yeah.
Yep. I'm just going to call her Larissa because that's what I've been calling her the whole time. But that's not exactly quite right.
It's like lexicon or something.
Yeah, it's Lacella.
Lacella.
Maybe that's in there now. Or Cyrilla or Larissa, whatever we end up calling her from here on out. But yeah, nobody's going to corroborate it because they just take it as face value. And there's a certain instinctual drive to believe other folks, I think, because then you can band together and become groups and survive if you're
tribal for sure.
Yeah, there's that tribal instinct. And it's too bad because I also don't know that maybe we were subject to the amount of misinformation as a species until maybe the last, I don't know, pick a time frame, a couple of decades, a couple of centuries.
I'm going to give us
a couple of years.
I think as long as we've been writing history down, I think we really, my favorite quote that really blew my head open when I was a kid was history is written by the victors.
Yes.
And that blew me away. And it's as simple as that, which I can see then why conspiracy theories and things like that might get bred, because we've even been proven, 20 years off a classified file that, the thing we thought was true is true, but we weren't allowed to know that. And this harkens back to the episode, If the Stars Should Appear Again. There's people think that they know what the best thing to do in order to keep a society peaceful. And so they don't want certain information, available, or there'll be hysteria, or so they think, right? So I would say it's not a phenomena that we are not want to do, but the problem of the social media aspect of it now makes groupthink and mob mentality way more available, fringe theories and crazies more available to be heard and then retweeted. And then did you ever watch The Boys?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you watch the most recent season?
I did. Spoilers for anybody about to who hasn't seen the second.
Not very much spoilers, but the newest addition to the group talks about how she can sway public opinion with 5 dudes making memes in a dark room,
cranking out memes a day. And she said to Homelander, "I don't need 5 million people to love me. I need 5,000 people that are pissed."
Yep. And I think that's it. That's it in a nutshell. One of my favorite TV shows is Community, and they do an episode about this. Have you seen Meow Meow Beans?
I've seen every episode of Community multiple times.
Me times 2. Meow Meow Beans is like this as well. And they show how quickly their society devolves within 2 days if you didn't get upvoted to 5 Meow Meow Beans. And there's a great episode in Black Mirror starring the redhead, who is Ron Howard's daughter.
Oh, yes.
So Bryce Dallas Howard, who was conceived in Dallas, was also had a certain amount of points that she had to maintain in order to buy certain homes and maybe date certain people. It wasn't even good enough to be a 4-star person. You had to be a 5-star person, and everyone was conniving. So we've seen this kind of storytelling happen in different TV shows. I think what I think they do a better job of here is talk about how the feed is basically talking about cancel culture before we were even talking about it, in a sense.
Yeah, it's definitely got the cancel culture thing going to it. There's also the encouragement of people in different societies to report undesirable behavior among their citizens, either on social media or in other ways. So this is an actual thing. I mean, if you get a cell phone in certain places of the world, they will automatically set up a social media account for you, and you will have that. So
this is real, or in this TV show?
No, this is real.
What?
And I don't want to get into it any further than that because I don't feel like I know enough specifics on it. But when I was researching this episode, apparently there are governments that do encourage their folks to report behavior from things that would make otherwise go unnoticed, littering, jumping turnstile to get on the subway, to anti-nationalistic sentiment, and that all of those things would kind of get whittled down into a citizenry score that would be associated with somebody.
Whoa.
So, yeah, I mean, we've got our issues here, which we all see with cancel culture and you know, people having to go on these apology tours, usually more or less associated with, you know, a public person that screwed up, and they need to kind of try to redeem their reputation somewhat. This is taking it to a whole nother level, an HNL, if you will.
Whole
nother level.
Whole HNL. Got
HNL,
it.
yeah.
That's not my forte, is acronyms. Yeah, that's...
Well, if it was your forte, you probably would come up with a better acronym.
No, HNL is real good. It's
Okay.
really good. I'm impressed. It's just the fact that you even did it is good.
All right.
Yeah, that's kind of frightening, and then it makes me think about, like, what kind of pressure are these citizens under in this planet, in this episode, where they like, well, if I put the attention on this person, at least they're not going to put, you know, so they're like, they are galvanized and deputized to basically tattle on their fellow citizens in order to not keep the eye on them too.
Right.
I think something that's worth examining, and there's a lot of people that argue, does cancel culture exist, does it not, or whatever. There is absolute validity to, if you kind of suck and you like double down on your suckiness, if you're not getting canceled, you're getting called out. And you either go, hey, I had the opportunity to learn here. And I've seen people do that. And, you know, let's go back to Community, where Dan Harmon was accused during the Me Too for basically taking advantage of his position of power during Community, and he went on to his podcast and said, yep, I did that, I learned, I suck, I apologize. And I have, you don't really see that happen all that often, someone like owning their crap, and he's not canceled. And but it's like doubling down. So like, people decry cancel culture. I just am on the more skeptical side of, maybe you needed to get called out a little bit. And thank goodness we're not going sentenced to death. You know,
or that crazy lobotomy, you know, brain fry that gets rid of all the bad stuff. Right. My daughter and I talk about this often because she feels like her generation invented cancel culture, and I'm like, no, you didn't. People would screw up in the past, even back in, you know, the long ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And people would mess up, and they would have to take a time out. They usually wouldn't get booked for a gig for a while. They would usually have to do something maybe lower than, you know, the status they had before, and then they could come back. And it was just a way to sort of rebuild your reputation. And that's been going on. It has been going on the speed and with the sort of pointed ability that it has right now. No. But it's been going on for a long time. I mean, look at Ted Kennedy after Chappaquiddick. Kennedy was on the rise to be probably one of the next presidents of the United States back in the 60s. got into a car accident where a girl got killed, left the scene. First person that he talked to, I think, was the family lawyer to see what to do, and was basically, people thought he would be out of politics at that point forever. Well, he went about his business. He did his job. He eventually got accepted back into the inside, but for truth and in fact, he was canceled for a period of time anyway, because of that, as well he should have been. So there's been cancel culture for a long time, but has it been called that? No. Has it been that as sort of aggressive and responsive as it is now? Maybe not.
And we certainly do love a train wreck, as a society.
Can't look away.
Yeah, we love it. And, the most recent, examples coming to light are, how we betrayed Britney Spears, right? By just making her the subject of our tabloids and dehumanizing her. And
oh my God,
Princess Diana is an example, etc.
Monica Lewinsky's a great example of something that was done terrible to her. She had a wonderful interview recently where just you could see her sadly as a human being really for the first time, and they intermix this with clips of late night talk show hosts and news people speaking about her, and it was awful. This was a kid.
Yeah.
In her early 20s. I mean, it was terrible.
It's victim blaming,
yes.
and that's what happens a lot. And it doesn't really happen here all that much because there's not John Lamar is the victim, right? Or Mela is the victim.
Mela Griffin is the victim.
Yeah.
I mean, she saved the whale forests.
She saved the whale forest and the jacked up kids. She did a lot for this society. Very
okay. Clearly. You can send that mail right to Jessica.
Oh. Yeah, that's a good soundbite if you want to cancel me right now. And believe me, people have tried. I keep on coming back from the scum. So you find yourself in this unfortunate situation, and you want to go on an apology tour to rebuild your reputation, maybe stop the flood of downvotes. Is it fair that the host of a talk show walks right up to you, hits the downvote button without even listening to your side of the story, and says, "I just had to do that," to applause? I feel like we're watching The View.
Oh, yeah. I think we were definitely watching The View.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just such a perfect exemplification of how we've made our opinions. Or, you know what? I wonder if that woman doesn't even care, but that's her TV show.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There is a world where Republicans and Democrats are all in the back room clinking each other after the election because they don't really hate each other.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to. Or this is one of the things that makes me the angriest is when Alex Jones was sued and he was talking about how his show is entertainment. Right. In order to get off. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it entertainment? I mean, it is because he's insane, but it shouldn't be because people are taking him at face value. And so that woman is using this as a platform for herself. And it's just a really great example of how it happens all the time on our shows out here. It
does. And when you get into these social media groups, followers, and starts to attract likes and things get recommended to you, you start to only converse, talk to, get information from like-minded people. And whenever I hear people say that, oh, they like this group because they get to spend time with like-minded people, I think that means closed-minded people. And I think it means people who don't challenge your ideas, who don't challenge your perceptions and your opinions. And the less that happens, just like we talked about last week, it's important to engage with people that are different from you, once a day, once a week, once a month, at some point to challenge your perceptions, to challenge your ideas. And the host of the show wasn't even willing to listen to the guest that was on her show before making her opinion. And I don't think it was really that out of character from what we see today.
No, it was not shocking. but it's shocking in the terms of the show, because we know he's not a bad guy, right? We're taking it into consideration. It does its job to perfection to illustrate what the point of this episode was.
And when you rewatch it, when you see Larissa's downvote at the beginning. I don't think that's it.
Larissa.
No, that's not it either. When we see the barista's downvote at the beginning of the show, that's what makes it so much more terrifying. Because she's like, I don't know what they did. I missed the beginning, but that guy has weird eyes and he looks sketchy, so I'm going to give him a downvote. And these people ended up one being dead and the other one being lobotomized, partially 1/10 millionth because of her downvote. And she didn't even give it a second thought. That's horrifying.
Do you know that we're still like one of the very few countries that has death penalties in place?
I do. And I really, really question the rationale behind that.
Because it reminds me of, all of us are going to press the button, so we don't know which one is going to kill that person. Or all of us are going to shoot. We don't know which bullet's going to shoot or kill. And to be so glib about life and death like that, we still are in a society where we allow that to happen on a daily basis, and it might be, a more subverted topic of this episode as a whole, but we are all currently complicit by hiring the people in power that let that to continue to be in play.
So that was another, really good topic of discussion on the show, I think, when they had their guest in the conference room, and Ed said, how does it work?
We need pretzels.
We need pretzels and water for guests, and Bortus will not fail, so we'll see if there's pretzels and water on the table for next time. The question was, how do you govern? And she said, we govern by voting. And she said, why? What do you do? And he said, well, we elect representatives that are experts in an area, and they enact laws. And she said, well, my father always said that, the majority determines the truth. So that's how we determine it. When he asked her, what do you do about what's best to eat and what, how do you inform your decisions? She was like, well, the majority informs the decision. So she said, what about everybody else? Doesn't everybody deserve a voice? So I ask you, Jessica Lynn Verdi, does everybody deserve a voice?
I actually think this lends itself well to Claire's solution of, you don't need to tell them we exist, just tell them that they could do better.
Yeah. So I think you're exactly right with that. To me, it's everybody deserves a voice. But that is a huge responsibility, right? So you've got to be knowledgeable, educated. So what if you're just educated, do you get a voice? What if you're knowledgeable on a subject?
And also, who's delivering that as our rights and then withholding it as our rights as well, too?
Yes.
Like, what is the basic human right we have? I don't have the right to say that I want something to be a certain way because I didn't earn it. How am I supposed to earn it, Bortus? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that it's a wrong thought, but it is a weird sentiment.
It is. It's almost an idealistic sentiment that everybody, and I go back to, and correct me again if I'm wrong, but the Greek democracy, where all the people who were allowed to vote, not everybody, all the people that were allowed to vote went out and sat on the hill and they all cast their vote, and essentially everybody, all the citizens had a vote. Again, citizens, I'm sure, were a small subsection of the people, but everybody got a vote. And then, right now, do we vote on everything we do with 300 million people in our country? And
if you go to prison, you can't vote. It's
yes.
That's actually insane.
And exactly right. And billions of people. So it kind of became unmanageable. I do think that the Democratic Republic, or the representative democracy, or representative Republican, however you're taught in your particular state, what our constitutional republic, however you're taught our government is called, which is actually not the same in different states, which is crazy. Yeah. So in where I'm from, it was a Democratic Republic, is what our form of government is called. Well, in certain states, they say they don't like to use the D word, so it's called a representative republic.
What?
Yes.
Because they are afraid by swaying.
They don't like the D word.
When I started to allow myself to be open-minded on things that I was raised to be pretty Republican. And when you listen to your parents, you want to trust them,
Sure.
You inherently do. And then as like more information becomes available and I'm the critical thinker that I was raised to be, etc., my opinions were shifting, and I was learning about white privilege, and I was learning about why democracy is this, and wait, maybe I'm not a Democrat, or maybe I am a Republican, like just learning. My first person I voted for was George Bush. And I'm not shameful of that. That's what I thought at the time.
Right.
But then as like my opinion started to shift, rightfully, some people started talking about bubbles, where you can be in a social bubble or live in LA and everyone feels a certain way. And my dad cautioned about that too, that he's like, everyone in the entertainment business can't say that they're not a liberal. And he's sort of not wrong about that. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I am always surprised to find out when someone tells me I actually am I'm a Republican if they're in the business. But we're not encouraged to have that different opinion. That being said, when I learned about bubbles, and actually that I was in one, it's made me such a better critical thinker to seek out other people's opinions. Even the hard conversation I had with a relative on Thanksgiving, I was having so that I could pop my bubble even more. I want to know what other people are thinking and what they think against what I think. And don't get me wrong, I feel like it's a big wag the dog issue. Like, hey, look over here. This matters. This really matters.
Yes.
But actually, things over here are happening that actually matter. But you think abortion does, and it really doesn't. And I don't bring that up lightly. They really make us think that that's a huge thing going on in our country, that you need to elect the person that agrees with you on that stance. It is so not a big deal, but what's going on in our world is, and they don't want us to have opinion. So is our republic, is our democracy any better than what we see here?
I don't know. I think the problem happens and the problem comes up when we just elect people that do the popular bidding. So if we truly did elect experts that were very knowledgeable in certain fields, whether it be science or medicine or engineering or pick a field, and they went there to do the best job they could for the people based on what they know is best or what they think is best, I think that would work. But what we end up with is people that just want to get reelected. So they're going to do what they think is popular. So basically we end up with a system which is kind of led by, majority rule. And we worked the episode title into the conversation. So slow clap for that one.
I am impressed, because now that means the episode's over.
I was kind of thinking about the Kirk speech, and how James T. Kirk might have handled this.
Okay, what do you think? I want you to improvise it. I think
torn shirt and all, he would have ended up in the council chambers, the council of elders, talking to them and said, "How can you run a government that doesn't know right from wrong, that only knows majority rule, that only lives by mob rule? Don't you see that you have to stop? You have to put the experts in charge and take back your society for the good, for all." I think that's what James T. Kirk would have done.
Was that in an episode, or did you just literally...
No, I just made that up.
That's incredible.
Really? Okay.
That's a clap right there, Michael.
Well, thank you. So I think James T. Kirk would have done something, or the episode would have been written so that he would have affected all of society somehow. And they would have said, you know what?
Totally.
You're right. We will change our ways. We will be better because we met you and you're cool. And we want to be like you.
Totally.
I think this episode was ended on a much more realistic note, which was, you can't change everybody, but you can change one person.
Yeah.
Right? You can raise your kids the right way. You can change yourself. You can say, I want to prejudge people. And this did kind of come from an episode, but I'm not going to prejudge people today.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do. And if that is, how we left our barista at the end of the episode, then I think maybe that'll spread a little bit. So when she talks to her friend the next day, she goes, you know what? I didn't watch it because I think it's unfair for us to judge these people knowing as little as they do. Then maybe her friend says, yeah, maybe you're right. Let's go do something else.
I was really cynical about that last line, but you're so right because strangely, it's just a different way to say it. I too believe in being the change, right? Another Kennedy saying, be the change you want to see in the world. And even if it's slowly, maybe one not vote against this sad man at the end of this episode is going to help things. You think you're right. It's a good point. You changed my mind effectively right now about what Claire suggested to do. So good job.
I loved it. You can't tell everybody, but you can tell people that they can do better. You think it aligned with the Star Trek Roddenberry philosophy? I
was going to ask you.
I think it does. I think it is a different scale. I think it's a much more, modern take on it. Next Gen and TOS had, dealt with similar kind of warped societies that were out of balance and tried to put them back in balance. This was an episode of sort of using their system against them. But then they planted the seed of change. And, much like when Picard sent Hugh, the Borg drone, back to the collective with that sense of individuality, hoping that would spread and create a different way of thinking among the Borg, we sent our barista back to the coffee shop, hoping that she would have a positive impact on everybody else. So I think that's how it ended, and I think that's a positive note to end the show on.
Yeah, and I always think that if the Orville talks about a topic that is present and important to us today, and does a good job of showing both sides of the issue, like how it's not beneficial to us or what different ways to look at it, then I do think they've exemplified the morals, messages, and meanings of the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy, because that is what they set out to do. That was the responsibility that Gene Roddenberry, burdened himself with, was to reflect the civil issues of the time. And I definitely feel called out in the beginning of this episode by being Jessica, who doesn't return shirts, which I definitely used to do with my sister. And as a frequent
when we get Seth on the show, we're going to ask him if he ever got jilted by a Jessica.
I'm going to introduce myself as Jennifer, so he doesn't dislike me right off the bat. But it definitely resonates to me because I love Twitter too. And man, there's so many times I have to take a breath and go, do I really want to yell about this thing that I think I have an opinion about? Oh,
I usually get 80% done with a really good post, and then I'm like, you know what? Delete.
Good for you. Good for you.
So, because when I haven't, I don't. So that's kind of the thing, withhold judgment, I think, is the big moral on this one.
Sure.
Think before you cast judgment. Get yourself knowledgeable on something before you have the responsibility to vote for it, because that's a huge responsibility to have. And you owe it to yourself and to others to educate yourself before casting judgment.
I my big philosophy, again, with, be the change you want to see, I think ask questions. When you don't know that you agree with somebody or you think you know something, empathy is huge. And we don't take that extra beat often to go, where's this person coming from?
Oh my God, we didn't even mention empathy in this one, and we could talk for another hour on that, but I think we've probably hit our time limit.
We did. So we're going to definitely talk about empathy another time, but that's what my message is. The change I want to be is just encourage people to ask questions, and when you feel yourself getting defensive, ask another question, and you will be surprised about what you learn. That's what I think.
You know what I think?
What?
Mission Log, The Orville, is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. Executive producer Rod Roddenberry. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is podcast.roddenberry.com.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.